Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. In this clip, we're going to do a little something different. What I did is I looked at the uranium price peak all the way back in the 70s, 1976, and then I looked at the price peak in 2007, and they just so happened to be in the middle of expansionary phases of real estate. But I'm going to try to project what a potential uranium price top would be using the 76 top and the 2007 top and looking at the percentages of what they were at in compared to gold. And then we're going to do some projections. Behind this, I'm going to look at some of the charts from a big long-term perspective for a lot of the companies to see what the charts look like from a big picture view. So in the beginning, there's going to be a price portion of it, guesstimating where uranium could top out at. And this is, guys, this is not financial advice. This is just me playing with numbers. But I do think that holds a lot of legitimacy to the number. They're not pie in the sky. These are just if history were to repeat itself. And then we'll look at the charts after of a lot of companies from a big picture view and how a lot of them are right there at resistance levels about to break. So I'm getting a lot of questions on, should I sell? When should we take profits? Guys, this is so early in this game that I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about accumulating, not even thinking about selling. So I'm obviously a long-term investor. If you guys are short-term traders, obviously you've got way different strategies than me. I'm looking at value. I'm looking at a long-term hold and trying to maximize my returns through basically realizing all the value I can in the ratio, and then using technical analysis to verify that we're going to move up and continue to move up. So let's take a look. I'll jump in here and show you what I've got. So this is uranium, and I'm going to go with uranium price. I've got a chart here that I created, and I'm going to run through it. In 1976, uranium was about $43 peak. Gold at that time in 1976 is about $124 per ounce. The ratio of just 43 divided by 124 is about 34%. So uranium was 34% the price of gold. That's 43 divided by 124. If uranium is going to peak a few years out from now, that's probably my guesstimate. By 2023, 2024, I took two gold prices. I said, what if gold goes higher and we go to 3,000? Well, uranium price to be at a 34% ratio would be $1,029. So that's basically the uranium adjusted inflation price. In 2024, let's just say it went to 5,000. I'm just throwing out numbers, guys. The uranium price would be $1,716 per pound at a 34% ratio. In 2007, we went to 140, and gold was at 700 roughly. The ratio is about 20%. So in 2023, if we were to take a $3,000 and $5,000 gold price like I did up here, uranium would be $600 per pound or $1,000 per pound at a 20% ratio if it were to repeat like 2007. If I took the average of this 20 and 34% and said, it's somewhere in the middle, let's choose 27%. And I used a lower gold price. In 2023, if gold was 2,000, which is basically just a little bit above where we're at today, the uranium price would be $543 a pound. In 2024, if it was $3,000 for gold, it'd be $815 a pound. So I don't see any number that's inflation adjusted that's anywhere near $100 or $140. Now, also keep in mind, I think that we could have massive inflation. And these numbers of 5,000 could be maybe a good gold price for the potential uranium price to be a 20 or 34%. So I think there's a high likelihood, and I know this seems crazy to most people, and I'm not trying to be crazy here. I'm not trying to be profound. I'm not trying to be anything. if history were to repeat itself, the price could likely be somewhere between, I'm going to say $540 and $1,000, probably between $543 and $1,700 a pound, depending on how bad inflation gets and how much of a squeeze uranium gets put into. And I know that's a very large range, but I would say 540 is a very low number. That's kind of that's kind of like the entry point number, because I think gold's going higher than 2,000. And if it were to just repeat in history, and the ratio, I think, would probably be closer to this, or if it's 20%, it would be 20% of a 5,000 number, because we're in an inflationary period that I think is coming up that's going to be more inflationary than 2000 to 2008. So it's tough to say, and these are just numbers that I'm throwing out, but I think it could be anywhere in those ranges, and have that be the normalcy. That's normal for the price to go that high. Everyone else who thinks it's going to go to $200 a pound or $300 a pound is actually an ultra conservative bet that would be an anomaly in history, and uranium would not be repeating itself. It would actually be a complete dud. And I know that sounds weird, but that's history not repeating itself. Now here's Camco on a long-term view. I mean, this thing's broken the downtrend line. It's clear as day to everyone, and we're probably, trying to put in this first leg of it could be a massive move. This could be a very small move, because this was a move that happened in a declining interest rate environment that wasn't as inflationary as the 70s. And it depends what type of environment we go into coming up. If it's going to be like the 70s or the 2000s. I think it's going to be like the 70s, but Global Atomic, looking from a big picture view, this thing is fantastic. It's continuing to move on higher. I don't see why someone would sell it. This thing looks excellent for a move higher. With the 50-day and 200-day, they didn't even cross. They're just moving higher. So that looks excellent to me. Now, Goviax Uranium, on a big picture view, we've got a bunch of resistance here that it just broke recently. Could this pull back to the top of this pattern here? Yes, it might, and it could. Doesn't mean it will. I don't know the future. I'm like everyone else. No one knows this future. But a lot of the times, this kind of looks like a cup and handle pattern. It breaks up and then it comes back and does like a little retest, back test off of this resistance line. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just flies on up. We have a lot of momentum in the price of uranium. So it's difficult to say what exactly it's going to do. I have it, and I'm just holding on. Here's Forces Metals Corporation. We got through this sticky portion. You could see what happened after we broke out of that. Massive jump. We've got this, it's not really a cup and handle, but it's something like that. It's hitting resistance through here. Once we break through that, I think we've got, maybe a little bit resistance at $1.50, a lot more way up here in the $3, $4, $5 range. So there's not too much resistance between us and I'd say, $3-ish. Looking at Forces Metals from a different perspective, a little bit different. We got a little bit of resistance through here. And then above that, I mean, it's not much. You just got some stickiness up here in the $3 range. So this thing could pop to $3 after breaking through this sticky area through here, I think pretty quick. And think of symmetry. Think of a move that would come up like this and kind of pull back. We could do like all the way up to $3 and kind of pull back a little bit, something like that. Bannerman. Bannerman is trying to get through this little area through here. I'm going to back out even more. Here's another one. And we've got a couple of little spots through here, but it's getting through those. And we could see a nice little price bump up, pretty good price bump here. To up the, I don't know what level this is at. There's some resistance through here, but it's also a long time in history. There might not be a lot of holders from back then. So we could see this, move on up dramatically. Here's Centrus Energy, and this one looks good too. We're right there trying to break through its resistance. 3160. I think we break through this. I mean, there's not too much resistance through here. Going all the way up to an ungodly number, and I'm sure they diluted shares or something. That one looks pretty good. UU. This one, a little bit of resistance through here. It kind of broke through that. We do have some stickiness through here, just from buyers and sellers. Not too much volume, though. So that one looks good, too. Next Gen Energy. And what I did here is I put a line through all these multiple hits through here. We got another hit there, another hit here, and we just blew through everything. So this thing is out in freedom. There's nothing caging this in anymore. So Next Gen's free to run. You could see a big move. When it broke this level in here, I'll show you what that looks like. Just to show you, when it broke like this area there, it ran up quite a bit and then rested, and then I think we're going to just continue on higher. So this one looks good too. Fission Uranium Corp, it's a lot of resistance through here. I mean, look how long it traded in this area, and it's just starting to break through a little bit. It breaks away from it. You could see a run. You could see a pop higher. So even though this one was underperforming, it was getting stuck in its resistance area. It had a glass ceiling above it of sellers. And it's difficult to tell which ones are just going to blow through it and which ones are going to kind of get stuck a little bit. Sky Harbor Resources broke through its downtrend, and I bet you this thing's going to run. That one looks really good as well. Deep Yellow, this guy is still trying to break through this area, and I think once it breaks through, you can kind of see what happened before. You've got a little bit more choppiness through here, and it pops up to like $2. So I think the next area is somewhere between around $2-ish once we break through it. Base load, looking at this one, not much history. Broke the downtrend to the upside, so that looks good. UR Energy is trying to break the $2 mark. That's what it's trying to break. It's probably going to come up to the $2 mark and try to get through that. So that's the next resistance level for that. UEC, again, that one's stuck here as well. It's up around maybe upper $3 range, $4 almost, well, $3 and something cents. Once we break that, that'll go. Now Encore Energy, it looks like it's closed above its $1.30 point. It's at $1.48. Let's see if it can keep going. There's not much resistance here. So this one's out in the wild, ready to roam and ready to run. The cheetah is released to the wild here. And I use cheetah because they're fast and they're powerful and they can move a good distance in a short period of time. Denison Mines looks pretty good. It's trying to get through this choppy area all through here in history. And it looks like it's getting ready to go if we can push it a little bit higher. So those are the ones that had pretty good history. Some of these ones are too short, too new of companies, but I guess I'm overweight and favored in the African companies in general. Just speaking in general. And some of these other ones, I do have, some of the Canadian ones as well. I'm spread quite a bit amongst the exploration companies. In terms of uranium price, I know those numbers sound a lot, but that's history repeating itself. It's not me fabricating the numbers at all. It's just that's what history would suggest. And other people who throw out numbers, and maybe they're doing it because they don't want to seem like they're making, how can I say it, to be bold. I'm not trying to be bold here. I'm just literally saying that if history repeated itself, it would be within the realm of uranium going from $600 to $1,000 a pound. That is normal. That is history repeating itself to the T. and gold being between maybe around $3,000. If gold were to, or if uranium were to only go to $100 a pound or $150 a pound, I would see that as an anomaly in history. And I know I sound kind of bold saying that, but I mean, that's just history. It's not really me saying it, it's the data. So you guys can argue with the data if you'd like, and that's fine. Put it in the comments section what you guys think. And where do you think the uranium price is going to go, and what time frame do you think it's going to peak at? If I were to take a guess, I would say that uranium would peak 2 years from now. Gold price would be around $3,000 to $4,000, and I mean that would put uranium price at $600 or $700. Would be the low side of that number. So it could be that price, $600-700, maybe. I don't know. Seems crazy, but we'll see how much inflation comes in the system, and we'll see how scared people get, and we'll see what the money flows are. This time does have more money in the system sloshing around. We've never had the stocks and bonds have so much money in it, and commodities have so little. So if that money were to rotate in, and it were to sniff out uranium, it's possible that you'd see a number that could be $2,000 a pound. And I know that seems absolutely crazy. I don't want to come off as crazy, but we've never had this much liquidity. We've been in a 40-year decline in interest rates, and all the money went into stocks and bonds. If the interest rates go up and that money gets spooked out of stocks and bonds, it's got to go somewhere. And it's a lot of money. It's not a little bit. So if it were to run at commodities, which isn't as big of a sector, we could see some crazy numbers. And guys, this isn't a projection by any means. I'm just showing you data, and it is not price projections from me. It's just history repeating itself and liquidity in the system. It's basically a bunch of money chasing very few items. That's all it is. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.